welcome to the YouTube channel of Jennifer Shira and all that comes with it. Subscribe below, join our community of light, and enjoy all of the recordings and activations and initiations and events and gatherings. And you can find me at lightpriestesstemple.com. And when you click and subscribe, you join this incredible temple of light. Blessings, beloved, and I'm so honored to walk with you and to connect and to share more about my journey and how our journeys are so connected as we walk in this path of ascension and opening as leaders and guides and wayshowers and luminaries. Didn't always start that way, did it? As I was running a clothing business in Los Angeles I'd built for 15 years that broke down my body. And I came to the point where I was sitting in my doctor's office waiting for him to return with the test results. And when he opened the door and came in, his face was long. And as he spoke, all the energy went out of me and I just lost my breath. I had to tell my lungs, keep breathing, keep breathing. As I heard him speak, I knew I had to make a change. I had worked for 15 years. I worked 6.5 days a week. In our clothing business, we shipped 6 nights a week. I took $100 and yes, made it into a 7-figure business. But I was broken inside. My body was depleted and was now at the point where would I live or not? I had to make a choice. And I knew in that moment, as everything fell away. Have you ever been there? I knew in that moment I had to make a choice that I couldn't do and run myself and work in that masculine pace, a demanding pace, that never stopping, always trying to prove my worth, always trying to make everyone happy, always trying to take that next step and push myself, that my body was telling me no. And so in that moment, I had to make a choice. And as I went back to my office, and a few weeks later, standing in my office, a voice came in and it said, enjoy this. This will be the last year you're doing this. And part of me was like, oh, yay, I get to have a break. And then another part of me, then the chatter came in. Who do you think you are? You have house payment, car payment, and staff, and you have responsibilities. How are you going to do that? You don't know anything else. And it was true. And I went into fear. I was like, I don't know anything else. It's true. This is all I know. But my soul was calling me to take that step. I was standing on the curb. Would I take that step into the unknown, away from 16 years of running a business, everything I knew, into the unknown of my soul's calling? And I did make that decision, and I stepped off that curb. Because sometimes we're asked to do what we think is impossible, to step into who we truly are. Have you ever felt that way? That what you're doing isn't serving you, it's depleting you, you're empty inside, and there's something else for you. But it's scary, isn't it? And so I stepped off that curb. But I'd always been alone in my life. I'd had a path. I'm adopted. I was actually taken home by my birth mother and for 6 months, and then she couldn't afford me and her family. It was a lot of shame in those days of an unwed mother, and the father was a married man, and so she brought me back, and she gave me up at 6 months. And so the pain of that little girl, like, wait, where's my mom? When's she coming back? Has been with me. And I've done so much work and around it, and opened that and made peace with it. I've known from the beginning I was adopted. My whole family's adopted. My brother and my sister were all from different families. So there's 3 of us. And there's an anger sometimes when you're adopted. You have this anger within of abandonment and rejection that in your mind you're loved. And I had a really loving adoptive home. But I've walked alone this life. and even had, trouble making friends in school. I felt like an outsider. Have you ever felt like an outsider? I wasn't conscious when I was young. I didn't see angels. I didn't push it down. I was very creative. I liked to draw. That was where I escaped. And on this path of ascension and on this next level, I didn't have that. As I got older, I went from being in the religious churches. I grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school, and so you have to kind of unwind that. And then, as I moved on, I wanted to find something better, and I had a major surgery from pushing myself too hard, where they cut open my forehead and took out some lumps and bumps, and that is what had come back again when my story of sitting in my doctor's office that I just shared, is it came back again. And so I have a big scar on my forehead from those original surgeries that I had at the year 2000. And I still kept pushing myself. And so what I've learned is that I need to honor and go within. And the only way I really felt that is when I found community. When I found like-minded tribe, and I had found conscious communities in Los Angeles where I lived, and that was wonderful, and it really helped me open up and find soul tribe. But it wasn't until I found deep sisterhood is when I really felt at home. And I was standing in Peru. I have been traveling for 7 years, activating the grids on the planet and ley lines and pyramids and temples, opening the new golden age frequencies. And I started on this path, and I would do it alone. I'd bring my crystals and my roses and create my little mandalas. And I was called to go to Machu Picchu. And I went for 10-10, 11-11, 1-1-2-2 on these sacred portal days the numbers are aligned. And on one of the off days when I was back, I was in the Sacred Valley staying for a few months. And I remember I got this download, or this energy that came in that said, you're going to gather the sisters in a retreat and you're going to travel to Bali. And I had never done a retreat, and I don't like to be visible. That's been a really journey for me, is being visible. I was a clothing designer, so I had the models all in the catalog, and I could sit behind the scenes. It's definitely my happy place. And so this path has pushed me to the things that I never knew I'd be able to do, and I didn't want to do, because sometimes your path of ascension is going to take you where you didn't want to go, and what you didn't want to do, and what maybe scares you the most, because your soul evolution and your transformation isn't familiar. It's going to push you, and because it's new. Have you ever felt that way? Are you feeling that way on your path? I did, and I have walked alone in so much, that hero's journey of the Piscean age, walking alone. I didn't know any else. I always had felt that outsider energy, and I never quite clicked. I was growing up with friends. I kind of was always the one that got made fun of because I was kind of awkward. And only later in life did I kind of move into really understanding that part of myself. I didn't know how to do that when I was younger. So it was really difficult growing up and feeling alone. And so when I had this energy come in that I needed to gather the sisters, okay, I made a photo, and I made the name of it, and I made a flyer, and then the call was to go to Bali. And so I flew to Bali. I stayed at an ashram, and I started to put flyers up around town and meet some of the sisters, and I still didn't know what I was doing. I was terrified. And as the months went on, some of the sisters came forward and felt the resonance, and we gathered. And it took a lot for me to do that. I was almost like countdown, like, oh no, 3 months to go, 2 months to go, oh no, 1 month to go, because I was going to be really visible. And I was going to gather sisters and have an intimate gathering of a retreat. And it was a temple space. I found a beautiful home for us an estate and a villa for us to join in. That was really great. But what came in was so unexpected. The sisterhood that gathered, we went through all the emotions. We went through pain and adversity and joy and love and transformation. We'd go to waterfalls and we connect and we opened our bodies and we immersed in the temple energies. And when we'd wake up in the morning, one sister would be doing her mantras overlooking the rice fields, and we had a sister with a newborn and she was with her newborn, and then another sister would help with the newborn so that the mama could go swim in the pool and take some personal time. And it all came together. We've done this before. We've lived in the temples. We're all finding each other again. We've walked together. And I never had felt this before. I had never felt this family energy like I did in that retreat in Bali, that I was terrified, like literally terrified to hold that space. But I pushed through that doubt because my why was so much bigger. If we're going to change the earth and humanity and transform and move into the golden age, I didn't want to be trapped by my doubts and my fears and my less than, or am I worthy to even call people to come together. But I did. And that retreat, we still talk about it. We all fell in love with each other. From that moment on, we all were wearing red, and we would go into some of the local places to eat afterwards, and people could just see our energy, and they're like, hey, who are you guys? What have you guys been doing? And maybe one person knew one of the sisters in our group, maybe there's 4 or 5 of us, and they would just look at our energy and ask about what we did, and there were just no words. When I found that sisterhood, I remembered again. I remembered us in the temples. We lived in the temples. We would do our practices. We would eat together. We would commune together. We would enjoy life together. We would connect together. And that memory came back, and that remembrance came back. And it was only by coming together in sacred sisterhood that I feel all those years I've had, and even lifetimes, of feeling alone and walking alone and being alone, going to sleep alone, waking up alone. More than anything on this path, I think it's been the loneliness of this path. What about you? How do you feel? What's coming up on your path? Are you looking for soul tribe and community? Have you found yours? Is it thriving and making you feel like you're a part of something? Because sometimes it's not your birth family. Sometimes it's by finding community and like-minded and that same mindset and the same joys and the same path and the same energies of that devotion to growth and transformation and opening the new golden age and your sacred gifts and empathy and union and connection. I see it as we're all like birds flying horizontally together in this horizontal leadership. It's no longer the top down, that patriarchal, I tell you what to do kind of leadership. We're all flying together like the flock of birds, like flying in the air and together. And the beautiful thing about the flock of birds is they alternate leaders, because the leader at the tip of the wing, it takes the most energy to go through the wind and not get the jet stream. And so they alternate leadership. And I felt like in our retreat, we had some of the sisters sharing their gifts, and they would share an offering, and then they would share, and we would go to sacred sites and grid it. We had one where we went in the evening to a temple at night with candles, and we were gridding a new energy, and we had to place a crystal deep in the temple. And I was the one who crawled into the small space, and we did it with sound, and then the sisters would make this mantras and this chanting, and we alchemically changed the space through sacred sound and all these amazing. And then we had visions where we saw our connections together, and we saw why we came together, and the falling in love with each other was just the most powerful experience, to have these women come together, and we knew each other, and we had walked together before, and we were walking together again. We would share each other's, like a past incarnation story, and the other one sister would kind of finish it for you because she was there with you. And that only happens when you come together with Soul Tribe and Soul Family. And by having that retreat, even through my fears and my doubt and not feeling worthy enough and not feeling good enough, and I knew it was important. And I pushed through that. And I'm so glad I did, because that connection I had, that little girl who's adopted and abandoned by her birth mother, never felt in connection in school with the other kids. I always felt like the outsider. When I did feel connected, I felt like, well, when's this going to end? And then guess what? It would. I wish I had known what I know now about you create with your thoughts and feelings. I wish I had known that, but I didn't know that. And for the first time in my life, and later in life, I didn't find it early, but I did find it. And I invite you to find sisterhood and to find a connection that feeds you and nourishes you and where you come alive. And I found that by going to retreat, holding retreat and going to retreat. I was part of the retreat. I experienced it all. We journeyed together. Sisters remembered each other, good and bad. There were some things we had to go through as memories came back. But that's the real birth of transformation, is when you go through that with each other and you go deeper. The sister wounds and the priestess wounds, I saw them for real as the sisters were opening their hearts to each other. And I was opening my heart to take all this in as a path of growth and a path of remembering again. And on this ascension path, it cannot sometimes be what you thought it would be. I never knew, by saying yes to this unknown path and stepping off that curb and following my soul, that I would be asked to do things that I never had wanted to do, and to grow and to be pushed and to be expanded, to heal those samskaras in my field, to heal those wounds. Have you felt that in your life? That need to heal those deep wounds so you can share your gifts and stand in your truth with confidence and clarity and share your message with the world and who you truly are. As we rise together, because as women, we rise together and we open this new golden age with this planetary awakening and with your next level amazing abilities and gifts and masteries, this deep gifts within you that are wanting to come out. And so I invite you to open that within your life, being in retreat, connecting deep with sisterhood, taking a step off that life you have of busyness and to-do lists and job and work and doing, to just being with and going in retreat and being with your sisters and immersing. And I'm so excited. We have another gathering coming up in Hawaii, where we'll be gridding the priestesses union for the new earth, where the priestesses are being asked to come together in all the lineages to create one lineage, the original lineage of light, where we will grid that, because the priestesses are the sacred leaders for the new golden age. And this will be a next level sisterhood and the temple coming alive within as we remember again and as we heal the sister wound and the priestess wounds of when consciousness lowered. It affected everyone, and the priestesses, things happened even in the temples. And if you feel that priestess wound or that sister wound or that you've walked alone, I invite you to find the sisterhood with community, with that deep connection that I have never felt in my life. And I had never felt a part of something that I did through that retreat. And afterwards, how we all stayed together, and we would go to events together, and we would connect together, and we would open with each other. And it was like walking with your tribe of best friends, but at the deepest karmic level. And I wish that for you. I hope that for you, that you have that in your life, because the ascension path can be intense and it will push you. And when you have that community and that sisterhood and that soul tribe, it makes this path so powerful and so deep and so fulfilling that your heart just overflows. And so that is what I learned by coming together with retreat, by going into deep sisterhood and opening the doors to that way of being that I had forgotten, where we lived in the temples together, we walked together, we communed together, and we remembered together. And that is what is coming back now, opening the new golden age that we're all finding each other again. We're finding that soul tribe to recalibrate, to remember, to rejuvenate, and to refresh. Just so you walk in your passion and you open your purpose and you step into your potential and you illuminate with prayer and you open with that permission. Step into community, step into sisterhood, find your soul tribe, fall in love again with who you are and who's walking with you as you remember again and you open this new golden age on earth and we open this new earth of divine connection, union, love, and remembrance. And I send you so much love. I'm Jennifer Asher-Ra, and I invite you to activate your highest codes and step into who you truly are, opening your heart to the next level. Join us at Temple Priestess community, our global community, and our new Divine Feminine Leaders Academy of trainings, offerings, and gatherings, and our Light Temple Collective membership. Join us in the temple and walk with your sisters and remember again who you are and feel that connection. This is the heroine's journey. We no longer have to walk alone. Walk with your tribe and remember who you are. You are loved. You are light.